everyone, welcome and welcome back to CrochetObjet and Knitting. If you're new here, my name is Moran. You can call me Mo. I'm a left-handed crocheter and a right-handed knitter, and after years of teaching mainly right-handed people, I decided to start and teach here on YouTube. On today's video, I'm going to be showing you the front stitch joining method as I used here in my Over the Moon crochet baby blanket. And as you can see, it creates a very flat and clean and minimalistic kind of joining, if you can say. So let me show you how we do it. So in this demonstration, I'm going to join these 4 squares. I will make the joining using the same yarn as I used for the squares, which is the Granny Kit cotton yarn. I will join them with the same color as in the framing, the shell gray color. This is a 4-ply sport weight cotton, and I will use the same hook size that I used for the squares. This is a 3mm hook. In my written instructions, I used this sample where I had 4 different colors on the squares and different colors for the joining as well. I did it that way because I wanted to make it easier for you to see the details on the pictures that I added to my written pattern. I will leave a link to the pattern down below in the description box for you. But let's start and see how we are going to join our squares using the front stitch joining method. In this method, we are going to join 2 squares at a time, but we are going to join them first in this direction, the vertical lines. So for me, it's only 1 line, but on a blanket project, you will go this direction, and then on the other vertical line, and the next one, and the next one. And then you will join all the horizontal lines. So in my case, I only have 4 squares, so I will go and join this line, and then I will go and join this line. And in this method, I'm going to be joining a couple of squares first from corner up to the next corner, and then I'm going to be adding the next couple of squares, and I'm going to be joining corner up to the next corner. So let's start with the first couple of squares. So first thing I want to do is make a slip knot on my hook. So what I do is I want to make a slip knot, so I want to create a circle and then draw a line in the middle of the circle, and then I want to grab the yarn from this middle line, and I have a loop ready on my hook. I want to keep my working yarn underneath, and now I want to go ahead and look for the middle stitch on the first corner. So in this project, as in my Over the Moon blanket, I have 3 stitches on each corner, and I want to find the middle stitch of this corner. In this joining method, I'm going to use only the back loop of each stitch. So I'm going to insert my hook to the back loop of each stitch. So I have a loop ready on my hook, and I want to locate the yarn, the working yarn, underneath the work. And first I want to insert my hook from front to back into the back loop of the middle stitch on my first square, and then I'm going to insert my hook into the back loop only on the corresponding stitch on the next square I'm joining, and again from front to back. Now I want to put the yarn on my hook and go through all the loops that I have on my hook. And this is the first joining stitch. Now I want to do the same going upwards to the next stitches. So first into the next stitch back loop only, and into the next stitch back loop only, and I can see these are still corner stitches. Put the yarn on the hook and go back through everything I have on my hook, and this is the second joining stitch we did. And I will go ahead and join the next stitch and the next stitch, and I will insert my hook to the left square first and to the right square next. And that's because I'm a left-handed, but if you are a right-handed, you might prefer to first insert your hook to the right square and then to the left square. But for me, it's easier to go first to the left square, only to the back loop of the next stitch, then to the right square, only to the back loop of the next stitch, from front to back. Take the yarn and go through everything that I have on my hook. Try to follow the motion of my hands. And as you can see, I put this finger underneath the work to help me go into the stitches, into the back loop only of each stitch. And I will join my stitches in this way all the way up, and I want to keep my stitches loosely because I don't want my stitches to be too tight and tighten my squares. I want to keep my squares flat and relaxed. So I want to make my joining stitches a little loose. So now I'm at the next corner. So next corner stitch, and I want to join up to the middle stitch of each of the stitches in the next corner. Here is the middle stitch on the next corner, and our first couple of squares are joined. Now I want to go ahead and add the next couple of squares. For this demonstration, I only have 4 squares to join, so this is for me the last couple of squares to join here. I want to keep the yarn underneath the work, and then I want to look for the middle stitch on the next square, middle stitch on the next corner, and I'm going to add this corner to this corner and to join them together. So this is the first joining of the next couple of squares, and then I'll continue working, joining stitch by stitch, one after the other, making sure I insert my hook from front to back into the corresponding stitch. So now I'm at the point where I only have 2 more stitches to join. These next two stitches are the corner stitches, so this is the first corner stitch, and I want to join up to the middle stitch on the next corner. And this is my first vertical line joined. And once again, if you have a bigger project, you now are going to add the next couple of squares, and in this way go ahead and add another couple of squares and another couple of squares till you reach the end of the vertical line, and your last stitch will be the middle stitch on the last corner of the last couple that you join. Now I'm ready to cut the yarn, and I always love to leave a little bit of a yarn tail, so I have enough to put a tapestry needle and weave it in later. I want to pull the loop all the way up, and this is the first line joined. Now I want to join the horizontal direction. So once again, for me, I only have 4 squares, so I only have one line to join. Let me show you how I do it. I want to rotate my work, put a slip knot on my hook, and then I want to find the middle stitch on the first corner, insert my hook into the back loop from front to back, keep my working yarn underneath the stitches. Then I want to insert my hook to the back loop of the middle stitch on the corresponding square and make the first joining slip stitch. And this is the first stitch. Now I will continue to the next couple of stitches. These are still corner stitches for me because I have 3 chain stitches in each corner, and then I'll join the next stitch, and the next, and I'll go ahead and join all the stitches up to the corner where all 4 squares meet. So now I have only 2 more stitches to join on each square till I reach this meeting point of the 4 squares. This is the last one, which is a corner stitch. And now I'm at the point where all my squares are this meeting point of the 4 squares. So what I want to do next is chain 1, so it helps me skipping this middle joining stitch from the previous joining line. I want to keep my working yarn underneath, and I want to go straight into the next stitch, which, let me show you, it will be the only stitch left on this corner, because I have 3 stitches in each corner and I used 2 of them when I joined this line, so I only have 1 stitch in this corner. I keep my working yarn underneath the stitch, insert my hook into the next corner stitch, back loop only, and then into the corresponding stitch on the next square, and making a loose slip stitch, joining slip stitch. Now I will continue to the next stitches and the next stitches, and I will join all the stitches up to the next corner. So now I'm at the corner stitches. This is my last corner to join on this line. So first corner stitch from here, next corner stitch from here, up to the middle corner stitch of each of the squares. Because it was the last couple of squares on my joining line, I will go up to the middle stitch on each of the squares corners. And if you work on a bigger project, this way you will add the next couple of squares and then the next couple of squares. For me, it was the last couple of squares. I'm ready to cut the yarn and to pull the loop all the way up. And this is it. This is how it looks. My squares are beautifully joined, and you can see how flat and relaxed my squares are, and this meeting point looks really seamless and I think very beautifully made. I especially like all these little details and the meeting point. And yeah, this is it. This was my tutorial for the front stitch joining method. I hope you find it helpful. Thank you so much for joining my video till the end. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel. It will help me a lot. Bye.